Because I'm not wearing pants. Just kidding.
Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Vintage Roadshow here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my monthly show where, I pick one of my favorite movies and, just gush about how much I love it with a guest. And joining me to talk about a vampire mockumentary horror comedy, it is my buddy Rowan. Rowan, thank you so much for coming on.
Hello, Shane. It's absolutely a delight to be here. And just to give listeners a peek behind the curtain, before we recorded, I asked Shane completely earnestly if I had been on this Wasteland show before. And so it is my pleasure to to make my first appearance on the Wasteland Vintage Roadshow podcast.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, I didn't answer Rowan's question when he did ask that, and I can confirm he has never been on the show before. So
Yeah. Sooner
there
or
you go.
later, I'll hit each one. It just might
Yep.
take a while.
But Rowan and I used to host a show together, uh, Rowan in the Wasteland, and we have collaborated many, many a times. And we're good friends, and we've met each other in real life. And
Crazy.
that's
Multiple times.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool in the context of, doing all these podcasts and stuff like that. But we are here to talk about what we do in the shadows. And now I had rights and licensing. I would cue the theme song to this because what a
Yeah.
jam, what a vibe it is. But alas, I do not, and I don't want to get sued or have this taken down. So, but this is a mockumentary setup directed and written by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. Apparently one of my celebrity lookalikes, if you ask people.
I see
It
it.
is
Add the, especially with the facial hair. I think that would really throw things into perspective.
I think a lot of the times it's like my sideburns, my mutton chops, but
Totally.
and maybe if I were a Kiwi. But we have Viago, Deacon, and Vladislav. Are vampires who are struggling with the mundane aspects of modern life, like paying rent, keeping up with the chores, and trying to get into nightclubs and overcoming flatmate conflicts. So, yes, the whole entire shtick of this original short film turned into a feature-length mockumentary is, but what if vampires had flatmates, roommates? What if they had to deal with, who's going to clean the dishes with all the blood all over them and all that fun shenanigans? But before we dive into this particular vampire film, Ron, what are some other vampire films that really stick out to you that are some of your favorites?
I mean, the cool thing about the vampire genre, or I guess subgenre, is that it's pretty much evergreen. Like you can
Mm,
always do something new with it, and the character and I guess the metaphor of like vampirism can kind of be transmuted to any situation, anywhere, anytime. Like it is kind of a perfect concept. And so I really love, I mean, Sinners is the obvious recent,
um,
one to shout out because that one is I just saw it again in theaters last night and it was my ninth
nice.
time, which is like so
Oh
I
my.
rarely see a movie that many times in general, but in the first
Yeah.
year, seeing it 8 times is, crazy. But Sinners, of course, Nosferatu, both the original and the Robert
Mm.
Eggers version. A lot of the vampires movies I tend to like are kind of like folky vampire movies, like
Yes.
not as much. There's the from there's the Sinners and From Dusk Till Dawns of the world, and there's also
Mhm,
like like Let the Right One In,
mhm.
Dracula, like Kronos, like these more lofty movies that are a little bit more dramatic and have like I guess bigger ideas.
Yeah.
That makes it sound like the other movies I mentioned don't have big ideas. They do, but they're not as they're more interested in exploring like the nuances of what vampires are and like what they want as opposed to just like throw a bunch of characters into a bar and then put a bunch of vampires in there and say fight each other,
Yeah.
which is very fun in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but like the classic Universal monsters are I think, not even the best, but like the picture perfect, like here is what this genre is at its very core. And that's why, we'll get to talk to more about what we do in the shadows. But
Yeah.
I love that that movie kind of honors like pretty much every sub genre, even within the vampire
Mm,
realm.
absolutely. And I'm looking over, I had just received a Count Orlok pop vinyl figure
Hmm.
for Christmas, the Robert Eggers version. So I got my
Hmm.
Bill Skarsgård big mustache, looking like a Eastern European lord. And he's like, "We will be us." And just like that, I love that movie. And that movie
Hmm.
blew me away, and Sinners blew me away. So we're eating good
We
recently
are.
when it comes to vampire films. And it's so funny that we're having this conversation. Literally, the week we're recording this is the week that Dracula, the new Luc Besson adaptation, came out in theaters, which
Yeah. For better or for worse.
I
I'll
know
give
you
you a
weren't a
hint.
big
It's for worse.
I know you weren't a big fan based off of what I saw in Letterbox, but like it's a weird movie. And like
Very.
it's such a let's make a quirky gothic romance out of Dracula and kind of
Yeah.
like not have a lot of the other things that go into this. It's like if they made Bram Stoker's Dracula and only focused on the romance.
And
And
instead of being like sexy, husky Gary Oldman, he's like wimpy, like trying
Caleb
to,
Landry
like
Jones.
Caleb Landry Jones trying to make himself like look like this epic. Just a very brief tangent. I saw this movie sight unseen. I was visiting a friend in Paris last
Oh,
summer, and it had just come out, and
well, that makes
it was
sense.
a French movie in English, and so we were like, this doesn't have a U.S. release date yet. Let's go see this. Like it's got to be
Yeah.
fun. And there was like nobody else in the theater. We went and we were just laughing the entire time because not only does Dracula sound like Gru from Despicable Me in this movie, he inexplicably has an army of CGI gargoyles that
Yep.
we never get any explanation for.
Minions.
And yeah, exactly. The Minions. There are too many parallels for Despicable Me, but honestly, I kind of respect the swing that that movie takes. But like it's kind of just like an inferior version of the Coppola one.
Well, and that's the thing too. We've gotten so many adaptations of Dracula. Like
Yeah.
the Bela Lugosi 1931 film is turning 95 this year. So like
Mhm.
this is it's almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
And you have the Hammer horror Dracula with Peter Cushing's Van Helsing and Christopher Lee's Count Dracula. But like I'm a big fan of vampire films, I think, and I love Blade. So like I love the first
Mhm.
Blade movie and Blade 2 from Guillermo del Toro. I love The Strain, the show. Like I love the first and fourth
Is that the
season. The
Del
second and
Toro
yep,
one?
mm,
Yeah.
where the Strigoi and David Bradley is this like aging vampire hunter, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of creative things like you mentioned Let the Right One In. I even like Let Me In, the
Mhm.
remake that why am I blanking on his
It's
name?
Matt Reeves, right?
Matt Reeves, who I love his films because he made two Planet of the Apes films and the Batman. And there's a lot of films that really play around with vampirism. And there's a while there where Twilight was like the pop culture vampires going on, and it's just like,
Mhm.
what a time. What a time.
Yeah.
And because like they were big, they were popular. And I'm just happy Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart have, found avenues where people don't think they're crap actors anymore. So,
Totally.
yay. But this is my favorite vampire film, to be perfectly honest, which is why
Mhm.
I'm talking about it on this show. But kind of like gateway into this, Rowan, what are your general thoughts on Taika Waititi?
So I, like most people in America at least, came
Mm,
upon Taika Waititi with the one-two punch of Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit.
mhm,
And then when those were coming out, I watched, his other, pre stuff like What We Do in the Shadows and sort of like became acquainted with him as like a comedic voice, which is, obviously how he started. Um, I think he is uh like an incredibly smart filmmaker. And the I haven't seen Next Goal Wins. I saw Thor: Love and Thunder, of course, and
yeah,
I feel like he is one of those directors that works best outside of the studio system. And I think
mhm,
Thor: Ragnarok and then Jojo Rabbit, I'm not saying he got lucky and he like and those are the movies that he can't, like that he's not equipped to make. But I genuinely think that he just is more equipped to make smaller scale stuff.
mhm,
But that being said, Jojo Rabbit is one of my favorite movies. I love Jojo Rabbit. I love Thor Ragnarok. It's, in my opinion, one of the best Marvel movies. And there is so much, and like clearly both of those movies are his. And I think that that's also really like a very notable thing about him is that like his voice is extremely um distinguishable and recognizable.
mhm.
And not just because like he acts in his movies and so like his voice is his literal voice
His
is also
literal
very
voice is
recognizable.
also,
Yeah, but like if you're watching a Taika Waititi movie, for better or for worse, you know it is a Taika Waititi movie.
yeah,
And so I think that there is like genuinely a lot to love about him. And honestly think like Jojo Rabbit, I think it's honestly between this and Jojo Rabbit in terms of like what my favorite movie of his is, because they're both so funny and then but also like they feel like complete like they feel like complete stories, and they also feel like they're both like using the movies to say something very specific, but also it never stopped, like none of them ever stop being entertaining.
yeah.
So I guess I kind of cut off my Taika Waititi during like after Thor: Love and Thunder. It was like this guy exists before now.
It's interesting because like I love him as a filmmaker,
Mhm.
and I feel like popular culture has soured on him
Yeah.
so hard.
Mhm.
And like it's hard to even fathom that Jojo Rabbit's a studio film because
Yeah,
like
right.
it's such a weird movie. And I'm like, who bankrolled this? Who was like, this is a commercially viable movie. We're gonna put a bunch of money into this. But now
Yeah.
obviously, like his big commercial coming out party was Thor Ragnarok. And he hit it out of the park. People loved it. And I believe there will be a time we find out a lot of details about Thor Love and Thunder and how much of a butchered movie that is,
Yeah.
because you can't watch that movie without realizing they definitely cut tons of film out of it,
Mhm.
because you could just feel it in the editing. I'm like, this movie feels all chopped up. And I know he was adamant about like, I don't do director's cuts. There's not a director's cut of this. I'm convinced there's like a 2.5 hour cut of that movie somewhere.
Yeah.
And Bob Chapek ruined it. And I hate you, Bob Chapek, if you're listening. But you know, I really enjoyed Next Goal Wins, and like it was him going back to like a weird, quirkier movie, but also it's more accessible. But I'm a huge, even before I think Thor Ragnarok came out, I saw What We Do in the Shadows, and I absolutely love Hunt for the Wilder People
Mhm.
as well.
Oh,
And
that is, I really want to see that. That is at the top of my list, honestly.
that's a film that, depending on how long I commit to this podcast, it's in my top 100. Like
Mhm.
I'll eventually get around to it.
Yeah.
But like that film is so funny, and I don't never thought that I would enjoy Sam Neill more than any other movie that I've seen him in, and he's such great talent. And between him and Julian Dennison and Reese Darby, and even Taika Waititi, who pops up as a priest at one point, and it's ridiculous. Rachel House steals the show, though. She's like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna come at you. I'm like the Terminator. And she's like his hidden gem in all of his movies. I love her so much.
Mhm.
But I just love his quirky approach to things. I love his dry humor. It really meshes well for me. And obviously, it really worked out for this 85-minute mockumentary, What We Do in the Shadows.
Totally.
So, some of the main things, like, obviously, the biggest thing to look at is the fact that, like, this is a mockumentary.
Mhm.
And I thought they do a fantastic job of leveraging that for a lot of comedic purposes and stuff like that. So, like, I guess Rowan's like, what do you feel like you get most out of the fact that like this is framed in that way? This isn't just, we're watching a bunch of guys hanging out, living together, but it's like this mockumentary setup.
It's so interesting because this movie like doesn't like it didn't invent the genre.
No.
It didn't even I would say it didn't even perfect the genre. It
Mm.
just did it so well and and with such like fun, interesting characters that it like really carved out a name for itself, which I feel like especially now, I mean this was 2014, I believe based on a short film from like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Like even that is it's kind of crazy that because I feel like there's so much mockumentary stuff these days, you, after The Office and those shows, really
Mm.
made it popular again. Like, obviously Spinal Tap was the first, major mockumentary feature. But like this movie put like a genre spin on it, which I don't
Yeah.
think had really been done at this level before. If it had, I'm not aware of it. Um, but it feels right for these guys. These guys strike me as like guys that love to improvise, and the genre is the perfect avenue for improvisation. I don't really like, I would love to see a script, but also I just love imagining that so much of this was just made up on the fly, and they were like, oh, like that's great. We'll just like put the effect in later. And it just I like it just makes me smile so much,
Yeah.
and that is something that like doesn't happen all the time when it comes to like movies like this, but this is just like it's just like a joy machine.
Well, and it's so funny because how the characters are,
Mhm.
they are just hams for the camera.
Yes.
So like they like especially like Deacon and Vladislav, like they want to talk to the camera.
Mhm.
And they because like Deacon's the cool vampire. And or at least he thinks he's the cool one.
Yeah.
And Vlad is just like this unhinged twist on Dracula. And he's like, you call me Vlad the Poker. And just like all of the interactions with the camera between them is so much fun. And even like Viago's so earnest as he's just like telling his love story to the camera and trying to like present his silver locket. It obviously he can't touch because he's a vampire. I love how they intersplice like the paintings and all those kinds of things, especially anytime they mention the beast. And it's like, whoa.
With the cuts to like the old paintings and stuff.
That's one of the best gags, and the fact that they finally reveal it's just he's a female vampire. He's just like trying to make her out to be this giant monster.
It had been long enough since I'd seen this that I totally forgot so much of the specifics about this movie, like who the Beast actually is, and the fact that the opening theme song is the same as the opening credit song for the eventual show, which I'm sure we'll talk
Yeah.
about. But like it really is just like I cannot think of a way that this movie could be better and more enjoyable than it already is, which I feel like is increasingly rare when it comes to like movies these days.
Well, and like I love the open like they do their it's like it's a documentary, so they're gonna do like their title sequence and show you all
Yeah.
these flashes of stuff. And it's like And the theme song is perfect.
Mhm.
And then the Plan 9 score is like there's moments where it's like all this Eastern European instrumentship, but then it's so disorienting at times, especially when it's leaning into the horror stuff. It's like these strange ambient like shrieks and squeals out of these instruments. And you know, I think they do a really good job of not skimping on the conceit of the mockumentary. Like they engage with the camera people at times, and there's certain moments where it's
You
just like
can't eat the camera guy. Well, maybe you could eat one camera guy.
what's it like? You brought like pointing at the camera people. It's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know, I think from what I heard, the original conceit of this was what if vampires were dumb?
Mhm.
And they're not right. Like this
Right.
is not the sharpest crew, and nor is the group in the show either.
Mhm.
And the fact that they keep getting into all these shenanigans and stuff like that, it's so much fun. Now, Rowan, have you ever like were any of the roommate dilemmas that they dealt with in this relatable to you?
The dishes for sure. Not the I love when they're like all of the like you haven't done any of the bloody dishes and the dishes are actually bloody.
Bloody.
I cr I laughed at that. But never had to deal with any bloody dishes, but definitely like I feel like that is another like evergreen roommate issue. Like it's always going to be the dishes in one respect or not. Yeah, I honestly I think that might be the only one, and I think that that's probably for the best. I think that is really the only like you know legit widespread roommate issue that they deal with.
Well, it's so much fun because like they have that little moment, which on top of you haven't done the bloody dishes in 5 years. They look at it and it's like piled to the ceiling.
Yeah,
The fact that they have a chore chart is hilarious.
yeah,
Um, I am the Viago character in my friend group. I am the one trying to like keep things together
yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's just one of those types of things where like trying to be the responsible one and control the chaos a little bit. And then I love the it's one of those things is like have you ever had a roommate where they had friends and you didn't like their friends and you're just like why are you bringing these people into our home?
Right.
And I have never lived alone before.
Mhm.
So I've always had roommates before I moved in with my wife and it's just like there's so many things that stick out about this. And sometimes you meet a really cool person because of your roommates. And Stu is that really cool person. Love Stu. He's
Loves
such a
to.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Stu's a real one for sure. Now, Rowan, who's your favorite character?
See, I feel like they're all like fairly insufferable. Honestly, like Stu seems chill, but also like we never hear him speak really. Um, honestly probably I feel bad. I did just finish this movie like 40 minutes ago. Remind me the name of Taika Waititi's character.
Iago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He is like I feel like he is the one that I would get along with the most, like, as like the peacekeeper and like the diplomatic one, like trying to keep everyone together. That is definitely like the kind of person that I would actually get along with.
Viago, he's a bit of a dandy. And then,
Yeah.
like just the fact that they all have these and like Viago being like and Deacon's one of those like young cool vampires and he's
He's
just
like
like
183 years old.
I think my favorite character out of all of them is definitely Vlad
Mhm.
because I love Jermaine Clement and I think he's one of the funniest performers out there and I
Mhm.
don't know why they have him he's just floating around in Avatar land. Just point out why the hell Do you hire Jermaine Clement for a role and not just let him be a Kiwi when half the rest of the cast are from Australia or New Zealand?
Yes.
I don't know. But Jermaine Clement's so much fun, and so committed to this bit, and
Mhm.
he's so dumb. Like he's so dense about things, but also like he's Dracula. Like that's basically who he's
Right.
playing in this. And I love the moment where Viago opens his door and like there's this void and he's just like floating in the air on a bed with sexy women. And then the door closes and then he opens up and he's just like, "What do you want?" And what was it? Just like him on the computer at the end when he's all like decrepit and stuff like that
Yeah.
because he's depressed. There's just so many moments and like um Deacon's I think Deacon's a lot of fun because he is one, he's a jerk. Two,
Mhm.
he thinks so highly of himself that it's entertaining to watch just how arrogant he is. I'll say, was it Nick? I don't like Nick. Nick's annoying.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only good thing about Nick is that he was friends with Stu. Stu, I guess I am Deacon in this situation because I
Yeah.
also and Peter, our boy Peter,
Peter,
aka
yeah.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
That was Rowan. Does that scene ever get you where like a Nick's running out the front door into the dark and Peter just comes out of nowhere and tackles him? I know it's
It's so
coming.
good.
It still gets
Yeah.
time. He's
Yeah.
terrifying.
He is.
The when Viago like shoves the chicken into his catacomb and you just hear him like rivaling around. I like to
It's
say is
funny because like before he attacks Nick, we only kind of see him as like he's in his coffin and he's not really moving as much, and we're told that he's 8,000 years old, and then we see him in action, and it's like, all right, yeah, I get it. I get why they're all kind of scared of him.
and I saw this big thing above me, and then it bit me and turned me into a vampire. It was Peter.
And it was Peter.
It's over. It is like that's such a great gag. I feel bad for Jackie for
Yeah,
familiar. Jackie deserved better. Honestly, all the familiars in this
totally.
universe deserve better, but I feel like
Yeah.
that's the running joke of the
Yes.
whole thing, to be perfectly honest. Now, I feel like most people gravitate towards this because it's a comedy, but like, not gonna lie, there's some legitimate creepy horror moments in this.
Mhm.
So, like, Rowan, what's the highlight for you during the sequence where they're chasing Nick around the house?
Yeah, I always the image of Jermaine Clement's face on the cat, it pops into my head maybe one like a couple of times a month. And I always it's so funny. It's just so silly. And like it must have been so fun to be on this set. Just
Yeah.
so fun to be just like riffing and being like, "Oh man, what if this happened? Like what if you turned a corner and your face was on a cat?" It just like it's so good. I love the any scene with the werewolves is hilarious. Werewolves, not swearwolves. Um,
What are we? Hey, what are we? Werewolves, not swearwolves?
yeah,
I love Reese Darby.
he's
He
so
is
funny.
he is a national, he's a global treasure. He is
Mhm.
not just a treasure for the island of New Zealand. He is a global treasure. It's like, Ron, have you ever watched Flight of the Concords?
I've watched one episode and I want to watch more. I've heard like season one is the real like what's worth watching, and I will watch it eventually for sure.
Well, because he's their like liaison at the office for New Zealand. So he's
Mhm.
like, it's like Jermaine present, Brit present, Murray present. All right, time for a meeting. And like he's one of the recurring supporting characters in that.
I
And
love
I
it.
love that show. And I listen to their music on a regular basis. And Reese Darby, the werewolves are like my favorite part of this movie, to be perfectly honest. It's not because I am one. Um, but Reese Darby is so great, and him being like the alpha of a group is hilarious because not gonna lie, he is not an alpha type character in in most things that he's in.
Yeah.
And Rowan, I don't think people give this movie enough credit. The actual werewolf part at the end of the movie is terrifying. Like the practical effects and look how massive those werewolves are. And they're
Mhm.
just like this found footage running from them in the dark. I'm just like, this is legitimately creepy and terrifying. And it's so well put together. And all those elements. And I have to say, one of my low key favorite parts of this film is the inspection by
By the
Officer
cops.
O'Leary and Minogue. Because have you ever watched Wellington Paranormal?
I did watch the first season with my dad when that came out.
So you have to watch the rest of it because they're
Yeah.
fantastic. The two of them, it's them. They're the same characters. They've done an amazing job of spinning off this series
Mhm.
in terms of world building. Um But honestly, there's just so much fun stuff in the world building with the werewolves, the zombies, all that kind of stuff, and they expanded that into the show. I lost it the episode in the show where they went to the Pine Barrens and met the Jersey Devil, and they beat him by distracting him with Bon Jovi.
Uh-huh.
I lost it. Being from New Jersey and also South Jersey specifically, I'm just like
Right.
this so great. But I guess, Rome, are there any other things that really stood out to you about the film that we haven't kind of hit on?
Um, well, it's very clear that you can see the bones of the show kind
Yep.
of everywhere.
Mhm.
From the familiar stuff to the roommate stuff. Honestly, the ball that they go to, like the creature
Yes.
ball, I feel like there is one of those events once a season on the show,
Mhm.
which is like really cool to see. You know, you could very easily imagine like Kristen Shaw's like guide, like being there,
Yes.
just and just completely blending in. Um, there is like just and like I love this movie. I also really love the show, and the show obviously it's 6 seasons. Like we have so much more
Yeah.
just by virtue of quantity experience with the show than we do the movie. But it's just so fun after watching the movie after seeing all of the show and just like appreciating where all of that came from.
Now, I just came with an idea popped in my head. I think it would be hilarious if they could go back and retcon that the Beast is actually Nadja
Yeah.
and that Laszlo is there with her, and they get into the confrontation at the ball at the end of this
Right.
movie. Oh my God. But like that ball is so much fun. And that whole setup, and then obviously they go out and they have the whole werewolf thing.
Mhm.
And this is 85 minutes. This is such an easy watch,
Very
at
easy.
least time-wise. And it's so funny, it's creepy. Everybody's just committed to the bit. And
Mhm.
just the character work is fantastic. Now, honestly, the show is one of my favorite shows, like period.
It's so good.
It's so good. Um, now this might actually be a hard decision, but who's your favorite character from the show?
That is very hard. Um, Probably Laszlo. I could watch him and listen to Matt Berry just like be silly all day.
Yep, I
And
do.
it,
I
yeah,
watch clips, reels on Instagram all the time.
totally.
Yep.
And like I just never get tired um like hearing him just say nonsense in his fun voice. Like whenever I go back to New York, I go New York City,
Yeah.
like all the time while I'm there. I just I mean, but I love all of them. Like that really is an impossible question because like we spent so much time with them. Like
Yeah.
it is hard not to love all of them.
Love Gizmo. Um,
Gizmo.
I love the fact that Guillermo's in love with Armand from the original interview with the vampire, and it's Antonio
Yeah.
Banderas. It's like his vampire awakening, but also his gay awakening because
Mhm.
it's Antonio Banderas. Who could
Of course.
resist?
Yeah.
And I love his relationship with Nandor and some of the running gags like Nandor De Laurentiis the, when he pops up on when they interview him on the local news and they call me the relentless because I will not relent. And the crepey paper is always a fun one from the first season. I think the energy vampire idea was one of the most genius things they came up with for that show.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Colin Robinson is legitimately one of my favorite hero characters. But no, my number one's still Laszlo. Um,
Yep. Hard to pass on him, I think.
gay is in, gay is hot. I want some gay. Gay it's gonna be. And just everything. It's like, why do you sound so funny? Oh, we don't talk like this in Arizona. Because like I
What's
went
his name?
when
Jackie Daytona.
Jackie Daytona, regular human bartender. I actually have like a beer glass that says one regular human beverage.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's just so good. And like the whole cast is fantastic. And I was sad that it went. And I know some people felt like it lost some steam. It didn't for me.
I
But
don't
like
think it did either.
the world building that they did in that show with all the different types of vampires and that whole entire like Rowan, I know you mentioned like each season they had this big thing. That first season
Right.
where they had the council, and it was Tilda Swinton from that Jim Jarmusch film,
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes, and then the cast of the movie. And just it was so amazing, all of those things coming together. There's just so many great gags and everything from the show. And Wellington Paranormal is fantastic too. I
Mhm.
absolutely love that show. And that's like a creature of the week. Like the fact that it's a show from New Zealand and there's only 6 episodes a series and there's only like 4 series is a travesty because I
Yep.
wanted more. But like it went
Yeah.
out on such a high though. Now, how I wanted to wrap this up is I thought this would be hilarious to come up with another spin-off. And Rowan, where would you want to see a group of vampires living and being followed around by a documentary crew?
Great question. I feel like New York City would have been the obvious one, so I'm
Yes,
glad that the show knocked that off. Um,
Staten
uh,
Island.
Staten Island. I would love to see them maybe somewhere in Europe because everything in Europe has been around for like much longer than anything in America and New
Yes.
Zealand has been. And so I would love to see like in like France or something, like these vampires who have actually been there for like 700 years or something and have like just extremely outdated ideas about everything. Like I love in this movie when I think it's Taika Waititi who says like yeah, like he has a lot of outdated ideas, and then it comes to Jermaine Clement being like, we could have slaves.
And he so casually throws that
Yeah,
out, and it's so
exactly.
perfect.
It's so funny.
We could get slaves. It's just like, no, no, that's not an option. But they do, don't they? Aren't the familiar slaves? Let's be real
Basically,
here.
essentially, yes.
So I do think that's also like a joke that like I think you all have a bit of this outdated perspective. But no, Paris would be great. And
Yes.
I would love for them to like connect it with like Interview with the Vampire and have like the whole entire like um the the theater troupe kind of thing going on. That would be really cool. Would there be any particular actors that you would 100% want to see in this series and have added to this?
I feel like it would be most fun to have like if it was in Europe a mix of actors who
Yeah.
are from that area of the world and some actors who are not. I would honestly like to see like a younger like one of those like up and coming stars
Okay.
be in a show like this. Like I don't I
Like
feel like
Timothy
it's
Chalamet?
I mean, he
Yeah.
would never in a million years do anything like that, but like something like that, yeah. Like I feel like that would be great. I feel like Jenna Ortega would be too obvious, but I think she would do a
Yeah.
really good job with a character like that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm trying to maybe see like the problem is like with this generation of actors, like they are extremely famous. And so
Yeah.
none of them would like really do anything
So
like
in your
this.
idea,
Yeah.
I would love to see Vincent Cassel come in every
Yes,
so often.
totally.
Kind of like Doug Jones comes in as the Baron.
The Baron. Yeah.
And, like Vincent Cassal's like this cool, sexy older vampire that everybody looks up to, and he just like, casually like drops in each season and gets into some shenanigans with them. But I'm trying to think, and I think a really cool one-off big time get would be like Class Bang coming
Right.
in there. Obviously because he, played Dracula, but like him, like I think he would really fit the vibe with this, and I would love to see him do something fun, to be
Mhm.
perfectly honest. So I think those would be fun
Yeah.
with that.
I would also like Omar Sy, who is in Lupin
Oh
and
my
The
god.
Untouchables and stuff like that. I think he would be
100%.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he could be like a like kind of like a more regular role, but like fill a similar like to the Vincent Cassel, be this like very confident like sexier vampire that like these younger vampires are like aspiring to be more like.
Oh, I want mine to be in Philly
Yeah,
because
love it.
obviously I have a close connection to Philly, and I think it would be hilarious. And they would have to be like, there would have to be at least one scumbag character, like somebody like basically
Yes.
ripped out of Always Sunny. And I'm not saying like, I would also like to see it cross over with It's Always Sunny, because I think they would be crazy and bold enough to do that crossover. Because obviously the show's going to be on FX
Mhm.
anyway. Um, I think it would be so funny.
Yeah.
Some actors that I would love to see in a series like this. One, I think Zach Woods would be hilarious to
Yes.
pop up, um, as like a regular character, as just being like the weird, awkward one. I think would be
Hmm.
really funny. I think like I feel I'm trying to think of some comedians and stuff like that. They got a decent amount of them to show up on What We Do in the Shadows, the show,
They
which is
did.
really cool.
Especially
But
like
like,
anyone who's kind of ever played a vampire.
yes.
Except for
Um,
like, your Brad Pitts and your Tom Cruises, but everyone else.
yeah, well, I would love for your French one to get Antonio Banderas to pop back up
Yeah,
again as
again.
Armand, because that would be the coolest thing to see pop up in it. But no, like I would love to see like the vampires go to like a night game at the Phillies or something like that
Yeah.
and get up into baseball shenanigans. All kinds of stuff like that. I'm so hyped up on Abbott Elementary and It's Always
Hmm.
Sunny doing all the Phillies stuff.
Yes.
Um there would 100% have to be somebody from the era of the founding fathers who knows like all the Philly stuff. And I would love it for them to have like twisted true stories about like, yeah, you thought Ben Franklin was this. You've never been to
Yeah,
one of his parties or something
totally.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be really funny. And I'm trying to think. I would want them to be like an older character. My
Mhm.
honestly, my dream, and this is 100% because of Hotel Transylvania, is Mel Brooks to be a really old vampire.
Yes.
But we must protect this man at
We
all
must.
costs. We're
Yes. Keep
lucky
him at
enough that
home.
we're lucky enough we're getting Spaceballs too. Um,
Yes.
but no, there are just so many fun places that you can go with this, and I hope that the end of that version of the show is not the end of like this world, but this is one of my favorite property like franchises and stuff like that. I know it's not like a
Mhm.
film franchise because it's one short film and a feature length, but like two spin-off shows that are
It
great
is
too.
it is a franchise for sure. Yeah.
Well, like it is a franchise.
Multimedia. Yeah.
It is exactly, Rowan. It is a
Yeah.
multimedia franchise. Um, but it's just so much fun. I love
So,
these.
so
I think
fun.
this is one of those like $1 million ideas where it's just
Hmm.
like you just came up with something really special. I'm like, what if vampires were dumb and we recorded them being dumb, and we got so much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But Rowan,
So silly.
thank you so much for coming on and you know talking some doofusy vampires with me.
Anytime. I love this movie, and I'm glad you're doing this series of your favorite movies because you have good taste and you like good movies.
Well,
So
thank you. And
yeah, I
honestly,
yeah.
this gives me an excuse to just watch my favorite movies every
There
month.
you go. Yeah.
So, and that's always a nice thing. I'm getting to have that excuse.
Mhm.
For next month, I will be talking about something dark and I guess kind of funny. It's A Clockwork Orange. And I'll
Yay.
be
Laugh
joined
riot.
by uh, a riot. I'll be joined by my buddy Matt Williams, who has part of our movie club and certainly has been on my YouTube channel for years at this point. But I'm looking forward to that. It's not exactly a movie I'm like, oh, I can't wait to rewatch A Clockwork Orange, because it's so much fun. But it's still
Yeah.
a really twisted exploration of human behavior, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But yet again, Rowan, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Shane, as always.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite vampire film? I know so many to choose from. And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. We have so many great shows with all different types of interests. And if you're into movies, we have plenty of that for sure. If you want to join the crew by, you know, being a guest on a show like this or any of our other shows, or if you have an idea for your own podcast and want a place to launch it, please reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, which is my favorite logo out of all the ones that I have, it is from my buddy Joe. So give him some love. He does some great work. And most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Vintage Roadshow here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.